I don't exactly know what kind of content to make. I know a couple of things. One, I want to incorporate the witchy stuff into my YouTube content. But how do I actually go about doing that? That's the question of the week, month, and year. Because on YouTube there is a lot of witchy content. You just have to know where to look and find it. One of the first channels that I found was Harmony Nice, I believe is who it was, and this was a few years ago that I found her channel. And that was really nice. It was very good basic introduction, and eventually it trailed off to other things other than witchy content, and that was fine. Everybody wants to change something at some point, and that is A-okay. I'm doing that right now. And now there are other witch talkers that I have followed on TikTok and then have come to follow over here on YouTube, such as Chaotic Witch Aunt and the Witch of Wonderlust. And I enjoy their content a lot. And not to make divisions here, but there's something about the way that Witch of Wonderlust content sort of like speaks to me in a certain way. I connect with what she has to say a lot more than Frankie, and Frankie's still got great content. There's something that it really connects to me differently about the aesthetic and the way that Witch of Wonderlust presents her content. But what am I going to do for myself or anybody if I am just becoming a copy and paste clone of every other single witchy creator on YouTube? But aside from being a witch, I'm also a pagan. I am an omnitheist pagan. Aside from being a witch, I'm also a pagan. I consider myself an omnitheist pagan, and there's a little bit of an eclectic mindset that goes into what I do. Example, the candle that you see right here in the screen is a candle for Queen Persephone. And now it is a green candle. Oh, hey, cool, there's a laser there. That's nifty. Didn't know that. Found things out the hard way. Queen Persephone's candle is green right now to sort of welcome her, but what the hell did I do? Queen Persephone's candle is green right now to sort of welcome her home back to the surface world, because spring is starting to have sprung, and she's going to come back to the surface world with her mother, and that's how the myth goes, because for 1/3 of the year, she's in the underworld with Hades. She's in Hades with Hades. Oh god, that just gave me a dirty thought. I'm moving on now. And you know, over the course of my TikTok career, since I fell off from YouTube, I've kind of jumped around pantheons, and to the outside observer that might look like spiritual tourism, and in a way, sometimes it was, but I was also trying to figure out what really fit me. And now here I am, once again, living my best life with pretty much the entire Hellenic pantheon, or at least the main key players. So, to consider myself a polytheist would be accurate. But polytheism usually refers to one specific pantheon. So you've got the Norse polytheism, you've got Celtic polytheism, Hellenic polytheism. But what is the term for when you're polytheist across multiple pantheons? Well, that's why I say I am an omnitheist pagan. However, right now my work and worship seems to be focusing with the Hellenic deities, particularly Queen Persephone, front and center. She's the only one on my altar right now, and that is exactly how the Queen fucking wants it. However, that does not mean by any stretch of the imagination that she has kicked anybody out, because I don't really think that's how she works unless she really needs to. But I've got a whole fucking setup for ancestors over here, and everything else is Lady Akati. That's her lantern, I think that's her goblet, and we've got all of this stuff here that I got when I was working with her initially. So, when there are so many different witchy channels who kind of do very similar things, where they pick a topic, they talk about witchcraft, or they talk about paganism, or they talk about something for a thin slice of a video, and that's sort of what the whole thing is. Oh, basics of banishings, basics for protections, stuff like that. And that doesn't mean that I don't want to do that, because I have been sitting here mulling those ideas around in my head, like, basics for witchcraft if you're going to get into it. Do a video like that. I think that would be really cool and something I'd have a lot of fun doing. But I don't want my entire channel to be like that. Because ultimately, I just want to goof off, have fun, and talk about things as they pertain to myself in my life. I want to do it all. I want to do it all. I want to make the videos that are like that, where I'm talking about just a thing where I'm jumping off and saying, oh, these are the basics of divination. Here's how I understand divination. Let's talk about it. And just have a video where I'm ranting about that topic. But out in this vast world, there are a lot of YouTubers and TikTokers that want to talk about and educate about the things that they're doing, such as witchcraft and paganism, and how they work with the gods, and how they giving and adding cultural, historical context, and I love it. It's beautiful. We need as much of that as we can possibly get. But do I have to be the person that's doing that? How many YouTubers do we have out there that are like the Vlog Squad style vloggers that are also witches and pagans? How many people are being YouTubers, just existing and living their life, talking about the gods, or just like, yeah, this is a part of my life. Oh, gotta go over here and give offering. Oh, hey, let's check our offering for Lady Akati. Oh my god, I gotta clean that motherfucker out. That used to be whiskey. There are so many YouTubers that talk about witchcraft and talk about paganism, and they talk about the troubles and the ins and outs and stuff like that, but I don't see a lot of people just being witches and pagans. Just existing. Like, oh, here we go. I'm going to lay out my offerings for Queen Persephone. I'm going to do this, and just maybe just have like little vlog-style things where you live in life, and there's a little mini montage in there of laying out your offerings and lighting your candles. You don't have to get super intimate and share all of your rituals and stuff. It's just you living life, and you're a fucking pagan and a witch. God, that feels like a good idea, and I think that's what I'm going to do. All right, quick, let's hit that fast-forward button. Now, if I haven't mentioned it already at some point in this vlog, Queen Persephone has become like the most prominent goddess in my life compared to any other goddess, and I did not expect this turn of events considering how close I have been to King Hades, but here she is, right there. Everything on the altar is hers. But the queen did demand that she have a tray to set out for her offerings. Which, if you guys saw the Dollar Tree Witchy haul video, I actually got this during that particular excursion out to Dollar Tree. So, I'm going through the drawers of my altar, which, if you haven't noticed already, is actually just an over-glorified, bought from a Facebook garage sale page. It's a dresser, and that I've turned it into my altar. And I'm going through my dresser looking for a paintbrush, for something that I'll do in a minute. And I found these business cards. I forgot that I made business cards for my channel. Oh no, is it a little outdated now that I changed the profile picture? Oh well, I'll still just throw it up there. Oh my god, the Instagram and the Twitter. The web address is still the same, YouTuber, video creator, it's just a completely different art now. Oh well, that's fine. I just forgot that I made these. I had gotten them when I was on a bunch of different subreddits that were supposed to be like hyping each other up for like making content and supporting one another, and that was okay. Some of them were like that. Others were just talking shit to each other because it's Reddit. Let's be honest. It's kind of just most of what happens on Reddit is shit talk. But somebody gave me this idea because they had they said that they dropped a bunch of business cards off of a bridge at some kind of parade or something, and they wound up with like 1,000 subscribers. But yeah, I have a business card. Here's my card. Just Jakel. I flicked that terribly. I also found my old camera that I took with on every single ghost hunt. Now, God, 8.3 megapixels, Fujifilm. It's just got a couple of different settings. There's the back of it. But it was great because it had an incredible flash, and I found out that it was perfect for ghost hunting because the flash would reflect the ghosts in the area. I don't know how to explain it, but somehow the flash of a camera, if there is a ghost or something manifesting in the area, it'll reflect that back to you and it'll pick it up on the camera. So yeah, this is the camera that it's been with me on every single ghost hunt that I've been on where I was taking pictures. And then as an aside, just for bonus points, I saw this at Walmart about a year and a half ago. It's a magnetic tape recorder. And I got tapes to go with it. Just because I wanted to get back into that energy of ghosts and ghost hunting and stuff like that. And I actually haven't gotten around to using this at all. Because it takes like, what, 5D batteries? 4C batteries. I was close. But yeah, ghosts and ghost hunting is 100% what got me into anything spiritual, anything witchcraft, anything, like everything I do in my witchcraft started off as me trying to figure out if ghosts were real, trying to become a paranormal investigator, succeeding in that, and just going on from there. It all begins and ends with ghosts, which is extremely relevant to the next and final point that I'm getting to in this video. Now, to the point of what I was looking for a paintbrush for. My painting for Hades. Now, I realize the last Orc-Vlog also ended with me talking about Hades. And this one's going to end very similarly because, well, Hades is a very important deity in my life. And given that very recently, at the time of my filming this 2 days ago, we had the first Pluto return of at least America's history. And I just feel like it's very poignant and on point to be redoing Hades' painting at this time because Hades is a deity very closely associated with Pluto because Pluto is a planet of death, rebirth, and transformation. Now, I'm going to tell the story while pointing this at my painting. Now, Hades is a deity that I have become very personally close to. And that doesn't mean that I have always gotten along with him. In short, when people who work with Hades say that he's got big dad energy, they're not wrong. And I am somebody who has a plethora of daddy issues. And now, I don't want to say that acknowledging all of this, I have done my goddamnedest not to project my daddy issues onto him. However, for better or worse, it kind of happened, whether I wanted it to or not. Now, before I carry on too far, I want to reiterate that I am a psychic medium, so I can kind of just communicate with them. And it's not something that I always do or always should do, because the more that I sit there and just talk, the more I get confused on what I'm understanding with the deities. But now we are at a better understanding. However, going back to Hades, he was the first deity that I started actively working with and worshipping in a more modern sense. On my TikTok in the past, I have said before how King Asmodeus was the first deity that I really worked with, but he was more like a guide and a mentor than somebody that I worked with in a worship kind of way. So Hades was very much the first deity that I actually started working with once I actually sat down and said, you know what, I'm a witch, that's what I am, and that's what I'm going to do. And I can talk to deities, and I'm not actually mentally unsound. This is actually something that's happening. And he's the one that sat there with me and helped me get through it and get balanced with it. And also, that was right around the time that I met my headmates, or became reunited with them, rather. Now, with all of that context and exposition out of the way, things weren't always peachy keen, and he and I wound up having a very serious falling out And it's taken me a lot of time and a lot of faith and trust to actually get back to a point where I trusted him, and he was at the top of the food chain of my spiritual practice, if you will. And then somewhere along the way I realized he's not. He's not going to be the God that's at the top of the food chain in my life forever. He's not the deity that's going to be absolutely the most important forever. For better or worse, it seems to be that his wife Persephone is the one who's at the center of my altar, and she doesn't seem to be wanting to give that position up anytime soon. Now, obvious conflicts of interest aside, working with her, I've actually somehow, whether she intended it or not, somehow wound up working on my relationship with Hades. Now again, I get and understand the critiques where people say, oh, we shouldn't normalize the gods or humanize the gods too terribly much. And you know, I agree with that. If we bring them down to human standards, we will bring them to human expectations. And I always keep that in mind. They're not human. But I am. And I believe that the gods, if they're going to be working in good faith with anybody, need to keep that in mind in general. And we need to keep that in mind, but it doesn't mean that we can't relate to them or see them as people who can be very real people in our lives. And I call them people. They are gods. They are deities. Ancient, powerful beings that are older than any of us could possibly imagine. But they're still just people. They're just a different kind of people. They have lives, they have existences, they have stories and myths and history, and for better or worse, I do believe that they are actually very real, very living beings that live alongside us, but the way that they do the things that they do is probably just a little bit beyond our modern comprehension. So I don't ever want to be one of those people that is far too much modernizing and humanizing the deities. But it is okay if they are a little human-like and we wind up relating to them and they wind up becoming important figures of our lives when we are able to interact with them in such unique ways, such as people like myself who are psychic mediums, and these deities become a part of our lives. And now bringing it all back to the Pluto return. Because the Pluto return, whether we want to talk about it as a finite thing that is only pertaining to the birth chart in which we are talking about, it is still a time of transformation, rebirth, and renewal. And I feel like I am now at a point where I can accept that not all of my feelings with Hades are going to be good. And not all of the history that I've had with him is going to be great. But just like not all of the people in my life is entirely great history, that doesn't mean that it's enough to break off an entire relationship with somebody. And new things can grow from that, especially when a lot of the falling out was because I didn't understand what was going on, and I didn't know a lot of the things. There was a lot of things that I didn't have context for, and my hurt feelings are very valid. But now that I know more than I did then, I'm able to understand his point of view at least a little bit better. And now thinking about this across the themes of the Pluto return, where things die, are reborn, and transform, I feel like that's kind of how I see my relationship with King Hades. As my relationship with him, it died. It had to transform first. It had to transform before it could be reborn. And by repainting this painting and not redoing it, it's sort of a sign saying I'm accepting that the past and what happened is always going to be there. Everything that happened didn't stop happening, and it can't be undone. But things have transformed, just like the painting. And I will know that it is different, and I will know what happened behind the fresh paint. And so will he. But I'm also ready to finally take that first step to welcome him back into my life as a regular permanent fixture. But in talking about the gods in this way, I feel like we can normalize the idea that the gods can be a part of our lives and can be a part of an individual's experience, and that every individual's experience is going to be different and unique and intimate unto that individual. And that's also fine, and that's also valid. And I feel like because of a lot of the discourse where people say, oh, Hades is like a father to me, and there's always somebody in the comments saying, oh, if you do that, you're normalizing the gods, and you're disrespecting the culture, and blah, 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 blah. Well, if you feel like that, that's completely fine and valid, but it has done nothing to take away what the person has experienced with said divinity. All you've done is shame them for talking about the experience. And honestly, it's always felt to me like this mass pagan revival that we're experiencing, where the old gods are coming back into a more popular discourse and more people are interested. The gods are returning. The old gods are coming back. This should be something worth celebrating. This should be something that we should be, gosh, cheering and talking about, and it should be a celebration instead of some of the things that it has become. Like, really, genuinely, think about that. The old gods have returned. How fucking cool is that? And we get to live in a time where that's happening right in front of our very eyes. And that's like one of the coolest things ever, that we get to be alive during a time where this is happening. The candle for Hades that I've been burning. Welcome back, Queen Persephone. It ain't spring yet. Y'all can still hang out in the same place, right? Well, on that note, I think I'm going to wrap it up. This was a very chaotic and disjointed attempt at a vlog, because I'm still figuring out what the hell I'm doing, and, you know what, I think I'm actually off to a good start now, officially, finally. And as it's fitting that I welcomed the big three underworld gods back into my home, my son pulled out the Ouija board. This is not a joke. This is not a setup. This actually happened. So before he summons something that he should not ought to be summoning, taking a step and a page out of my playbook, I'm going to get going. Until next time, much love, peace out, namaste, and goodbye.